Don't try this at home unless you know what you're doing. Pork sisig is not an instant thing. Yes, it's a quick snack and for most people an appetizer in a lot of restaurants, but this takes time. This takes dedication. This is not a everyday simple meal, okay? First we had to go around and find all the ingredients and then we had to actually come back and figure out how to do it all. Cheers, thank you so much you guys. I hope you enjoy. All right, so it's hours before I make the sisig. I have a rolling boil going with a little bit of onion, pepper, a little bit of umami, and some seasoning salt. Knorr's pork broth, bouillon cube. The next thing I have to do is take my muscata, my pork pieces that I have. Now, muscata basically is for like the leftover bits, the ears, the side of the face, the snout, the edges of the hooves. It's the leftover poor man's cuts that a lot of people traditionally don't know how to use in the Western world. Bring it all together, chop it all down, and turn it into sisig, which is the meal we're making tonight. So basically we're just gonna pull out and double check, make sure there's no hair or dirt or bone shatters, shards on the muscata meat. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just put it in the rolling boil. And we're gonna boil it down for quite a while until it's super reduced and tender and broken down. And then I'm gonna grill it off and make it real crispy, separate the skin, and we're gonna make the skin really crunchy and we're gonna chop it down. It's a whole methodology to it. First things first, you have to start with the muscata. This is a piece of the muscata right here. And you can see that this is the side of the face where the earlobe is, and this is where the ear comes out right here. A piece of jowl, or the side of the cheek there. So all we're really doing is just making sure that it's quality, making sure that there aren't any hairs on there. So like right here, I've got a few charred hairs that are left, so I'm just gonna trim those off. Make sure that there's no bone shards. So the inner earlobe here is definitely something that a lot of them don't fully clean, and I've been told I need to carve that piece out because there's some stuffs up in there. I am going to cut these pieces down so that I can do a little bit of an easier trim on them. Tough stuff right here. This is why we're breaking it down. And then I can just carve out the inner earlobe like that. A real quick trick with the skin, which I'll show you why I'm going to do it later. And I'm going to go ahead and separate the outer skin from the fat. It's all still going in the same pot. I have a method for making this flawlessly crispy and flavored while in our tiny apartment with the minimal things that I have. What I'm doing is I'm separating the fat lining in the skin, but we're still gonna use it, and I'm gonna show you how later. Boom, so everything's still going in, right? But I'm gonna show you how I clean and cook off this skin to where it is a delicious, crispy pleasure. All right, so I got one of my favorite old boning blades out of my knife kit there. And like I said, we're just gonna take off the edge of this crusty lobe and these hairy pieces real quick. All right, so I carved out the inner earlobe right there, and that's the only piece I'm not gonna mess with. Everything else that's part of this pig face is coming with us, all this pork muscata, and it's gonna go right in the batch right now. All right, so phase one is complete of our pork sisig. I have all of the muscata de bois in the pot with a little bit of peppers, onions, and pork bouillon and salt and pepper. And that is going to boil off and render for quite a while. Phase one complete.
What are you doing?
Sneaking some broth.
Yeah, that pork broth is so good.
Okay. Washing and rinsing the rice. Alrighty, so we are at phase two and turning into phase three now. We have gone ahead and strained the pork. And I have taken the pork out. This is all the fat and onion. It's great. It's delicious. So this is what's left of the pork and the pork skin and the pork fat and all of the baboy muscata, or the pieces of face, ear, and jowl from the pig. It's broken down pretty well. As you can see, what I've done with the strain is I actually have it all here in this broth, put it away in the fridge, and we're gonna use it as a later date. That tastes like some kind of like world-class ramen or like grandma's noodle soup. It just has this core, beautiful flavor memory to it. It is so unreal how freaking good that tastes right now. Alyssa and I just keep sneaking spoonfuls of it. The pork meat is cool enough here, so I'm gonna go ahead and start chopping up a lot of it. This is phase 2, phase 3 of making the sisig. Rice is rolling right now. We're gonna chop the pork. Veggies I'm gonna prep real quick, which is just onions and peppers with a little hint of ginger. But we are gonna go with the big sweet white onion on this one because it really works much better with the sisig itself. When the sisig's done, it's gonna sizzle off in the saute pan. We're gonna drop some eggs in there, and that should be just about it. We are in debate on a couple of things right now. Mayonnaise. Does mayonnaise go in it or not? I have read and seen that traditional, original OG does not have mayo in it, but the island adaptation has mayo in it for a little bit of creaminess and a little bit of flavor. It doesn't hold well or last a lot longer with the mayonnaise. It can go bad faster, which can be an issue, but I don't think it's gonna last in our house. The other controversial subject is a little bit of ginger to snap back and take the sour flavor out, but I don't think I've got any sour flavor with my pork. Otherwise, it's just literally these two ingredients right there. I'm gonna add a little bit of the pork broth in there as I saute it, a little bit of margarine when I sear it off. Really, it's just that simple, but it takes time and dedication. Alrighty, so my pan's raring hot. I've already gotten everything reset. I've got all my trimmings of my Moscato Baboy in the pot. I have all my skins right here on the cutting board. Rice is done. What I have to do right now is saute my livers. We're gonna go ahead and just straight dump them right in there. Now, I know what you're thinking, that's a lot of liver, and it is, but that's because I could only get it in one quantity size or portion today, and we will eat the rest of it later. Just gonna grab a spoon and spread it all out here. We are experiencing technical difficulties. My half-naked camera woman needs assistance. You really want to immediately work on the gamey balance of the liver. And I'm going to add a little soy and a little calamansi right to the liver just to bring down the gaminess a little bit. And I mean, just a little bit here. And now I'm adding just some squeezed calamansi. Liver is a very good thing for you, and everybody needs a little bit in their lives. Some people who don't like to eat it take iron supplements or other kinds of supplements and things like that. But it's pretty crucial. You need liver in your life, just like you should be eating out of a cast iron skillet because you need that iron oxides in your body. Once they're cooked off, I'm gonna mince those into like a minced pate spread, liver spread, because traditionally you would either use the chicken livers or the liver spread. Now the only thing that I'm not putting in here, which could be considered traditional or not, is pig's brain. There was no pig's brain on the island right now. It's election week. There's no liquor sales, so everyone's sober and a little on edge. Most of the stores, shops, and markets are shut down until elections are over. We are at the whim and will of the society around us, and right now it's election week, starting with the Monday. It's Monday night election week right here. All right, so I've browned off most of the chicken liver. It's all sitting right there, resting for right this second. And now what I'm gonna do is work on my skins and grilling off most of the meat and fat for the rest of the sisig. Now, traditionally you would have an open flame, hot fire grill outside. It's pouring rain on my tiny little grill outside and I'm out of charcoal. First thing I'm gonna do is the fats and the main part of the meats there, and we will set the skins aside for right now, because like I said, I've got a total life hack for the skins. So most of the big meat does not actually need to be cooked much longer, so we're gonna separate that. So like this is good meat. This does not need to be charred off and cooked any more than it is. Most of this is the same way. Most of this is as well. But then these face pieces have some large chunks of fat, which I want to grill down and reduce a little bit. So we're going to take those, we're going to drop them right on the heat, and they're going to start to melt. So like I said, all this meat is cooked. It does not need more cooking time. So we're going to set that off until the final brown. It's literally like a 5-step process with this meat. You got to boil it, then you got to grill it, then you got to chop it, mince it all. Yeah, it's just really a process. So like I said, it's not an easy thing, and I give mad props and respect to all the cooks and chefs out there in the Filipino world who are holding down with their little restaurants or their little roadside barbecues or their candiderias, and that can produce this on the fly deliciously in their restaurants. Props to you, big ups to you guys. This takes a lot of work. Right now I'm gonna go ahead and continue browning out this fat. And a little secret to it to where I don't burn myself in this tiny little kitchen is I take the one and only pot lid I have and I cover it. It works. You gotta do what you gotta do around here. So I don't need all this liver for tonight. So I cooked it all medium rare, most of it. So we're gonna let it cool off here, and that will go for Alyssa and I's meals later on in the week. So this is the liver that's gonna go in our sisig. That's the liver that's gonna go away for later. And what I'm gonna start doing here is shredding it down and reducing it down to more like a paste or a pate. And what I can do with that when I'm doing that is basically just finding and locating the tendons and whatever little strips of cartilage or tendon that are left, and those will separate as well. A little bit of meticulous work here, but pays off in the end, because look at that, I have liver spread now. And all I added was a little bit of calamansi, salt, black pepper, and soy to the browning process on this. So see how that's all connected? So I'm trying to get all the liver out of there, but keep the tendons. And the reason this isn't actually coming off is because this is still rare and not all the way cooked through.
I'm a lucky girl to have a man who cooks amazing Pinoy dishes for me almost nightly. How many of you women have to cook dinner every night? How lucky am I really?
If you ask me, pretty damn lucky.
I think so. I think that it's more common for the women to cook here than the men. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do the men cook just as much as the women?
They're all going to leave their comments. Make sure you give us your comments below. We really, our algorithm is actually fed. We get promoted with more comments. So the more you actually involve yourselves in comment, the more you're helping us without having to pay a dime towards it.
And we reply to all of our comments.
We do. We reply to everyone's comments. All right, so the liver paste is just about all there. Everything that could get shredded up into the liver spread is ready to go. Now we're gonna walk over here real quick. Well, I'm gonna rinse my hands. Boom, that's just pork fat. And I wanted it crispy and cooked off just like that, like it would be if it was on the grill. So what I do now, my little trick, is I take my knife to the end of the pan and I get out most of the fat. I'm gonna keep a little bit because I'm gonna show you my next cheater life hack here. And then these are gonna come off and sit right here for right now with the pate. Because the cool part is that now I can start combining everything. Everything can start coming together. But first, I gotta show you my skin crispy life hack in this little tiny kitchen. So there's pork fat in the pan, right? So what I'm gonna do here is now take my skin pieces. This one I need to trim just a little bit so that it goes on there evenly. Okay. So we're gonna take our skin pieces, right? And we're gonna take these bad boys and we're gonna put them fat side down. See that? Fat side down. Now let me show you how I make sure that it crisps up to the way I want it to. I take my weighted pan of rice here and I cover it like that. And that weight is gonna keep it flat, keep the skin evenly on the burner, and allow it to really pressurize and break down that fat. And as that fat breaks down, we're gonna see another like 2 millimeters of oil and fat render off in that pan. I'm then gonna take it out, flip the skin and put the skin side down in the fat, and that's gonna just pop right up into chicharron. And then I just put it on my cutting board, chop it all up, mix everything together. Guess what? We got sisig! Yes! Look at all that. That's all pork fat.
Ooh, yeah.
Rendered off.
Scrambled eggs in the morning.
That's right. All right, so while that's reducing down and popping, and the reason it's popping is because there's still water left over in the pork fat from when we boiled it. So you do have to be careful. And while that's popping off real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and start mincing the fat and chopping it down. Look at that, literally grilled, just like coming off the grill. Brown and crispy and delicious. So I've got my second bowl here, which is where everything is gonna go into it. The magic bowl for mixing here. Gonna go ahead and just start dumping it all into this bowl of deliciousness, which I'm sure the wife will be sneaking a spoonful of as I'm not looking throughout this process. All right, and then the rest of the pork is gonna get chopped up as well. But before we do that, it's time to come over and do a very careful flip of this pork fat. You have to be careful with this part. It's as I put it, no friggin' joke when you're dealing with red hot popping oil. Set her down. So now look at all this oil I have, right? From the fat that's reduced down, okay? So watch what I'm gonna do now, all right? I'm gonna take this, and I'm literally just gonna flip it. Woo! And you gotta be careful, and you gotta be quick, because that skin has some serious water in it. Woo! Shiitake mushrooms, baby. All right, and now we're gonna cover it up again.
The party in the pan.
And the skin side is now frying in its own fat and rendering and turning into basically chicharron. So while that's working, I'm going, and the cool part is that the pan and the pot kind of blocks most of it and deflects it. So it works in my favor, but you gotta be careful. And also don't make the mistake of, if you're still gonna cook with this pan, realize that the bottom of it's covered in grease. And if you go to take that pan and put it on the burner, the whole pan might engulf in flames. So be careful. Tiny little kitchen, big mess. So it's time to work and render down the rest of the pork and get it ready to go in the Sisig mix here. So remember, all of this is muscata, or face, jowl, ears, nose, snout. Pork perfection. And you can see that there's still pink pork in here, even after an hour of boiling off. You want to try to continue to get everything to the right consistency. And when I say consistency, I mean like these 1 and 2 millimeter size pieces, you know? You want to see everything about that size. So we've got some work to do here. See, this is where if you had a big dirty kitchen, you could just be like, chop, 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 chop. But I've got a very tiny little kitchen. Gotta be careful with my delicacies.
I appreciate you being careful because it's less mess for me to clean. Choppity chop, chop, chop.
That's it. So again, this is gonna go in the mix it all together bowl.
And mix it all together bowl right there.
Okay. The question of how are you gonna make it crispy without having a grill has been answered. Look at that.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Fried and brown, perfect, crispy, bubbling. And so what we're gonna do there real quick is turn off the heat, because we're gonna use this to sizzle everything off traditionally like a real sisig when we're done here in a minute.
Do the fork, do the fork.
In the roller.
Do the what?
Take a fork and show us how crispy it is. Oh yeah,
Without having a grill.
that's crispy.
So what I like to do is matchstick it first, and then you can just come through, and it got so hot we bent the cutting board. All right, so now I'm gonna spin it off to my proper cutting angle here.
Beautiful.
Crispy pork face, pork fat with nothing gelatinous or chewy left in it. Everything is rendered off, chopped to perfection. Crunchy, 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 crunchy. That's gonna go in the mix everything in one bowl. Bam. Okay. Everything over a 5-hour period worked in its own manner, all in one bowl of absolute deliciousness here, right? We're gonna mix this thoroughly and evenly and add a little bit of seasoning into this and a little bit of flavor. I know, it doesn't need it, but we're gonna give it just a little bit of the traditional stuff here, okay? All right, first things first, we gotta chop our veggies up real quick, then they're gonna go in the mix with this. And I tell you what, I am a little torn on the ginger. They say that it's optional, but I'm gonna add just a little bit here in a second. Nope, I'm gonna leave them to sweat inside the meat mix, And then they're gonna just saute off on the hot skillet when we're done. Boom. Just a little bit of vinegar. Just gonna add just a little bit of vinegar in here. Gonna add some soy. Just like that. Ground black pepper. Boom. And now we're gonna go with the onion.
Hold your breath.
The wife's gotta hold her breath.
Eyes are already starting to water.
Yeah?
Yeah. I apologize for my camera work beyond this point. Burns so bad.
Burns so bad, but tastes so
Oh, but
good.
it's so worth it in the end.
And actually, I think that probably too much onion for this one batch. So we will go ahead and separate some of this onion out.
I'm not doing good right now.
All right. Look at me, I'm not doing it either.
Yeah, those are some. You never cry either. Those are some potent onions. Don't cry.
All right, time for the garlic.
Mince the garlic, mince the garlic. Dice it around. Toss it in the saucepan.
It's not a Disney song, baby.
That's not a Disney song. That's Rihanna.
Oh, God. What do I know? Oh,
I
man.
ask myself that all the time. I love ginger.
Yeah?
Yeah, maybe I'll make some ginger tea later.
Okay. One little thumb of ginger here. See? Thumb, ginger. And I'm probably going to use about that much right there. Okay. So we're adding the ginger basically just to kind of sweeten up and bring back from the gamey sourness of the liver. That's really the only reason we're bringing it there. The onions, the garlic, the ginger is getting ready to go in the saute pan first to start browning just a little bit. Then I am going to incorporate the last controversial ingredient into this mix, mayonnaise. I asked some local Boholano Panay friends of mine, and they were like, yeah, here, you put mayonnaise in your sisig. And I'm like, oh, okay. So before anybody judges me, I was told by a local to do thus.
By several locals.
And also, with all the judging lately and all the culinary trolls that I've been receiving, there are 7,200 islands around here, if not more. And there's like 140 cultures, sub-languages, 90 main dialects. And within each region, island, province, barangay, and village, the flavors and the profiles change. So just because you do it the way you do it in your little village where you're from doesn't mean the people in this village do it that way. That doesn't mean that anybody does it wrong. So let's add some mayonnaise. Ladies' choice mayonnaise around here in the Philippines comes in a pack. I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of it. That's it. I'm gonna save the rest for later. Okay, and we are going to start whipping this together. A little bit of creaminess, a little bit of extra flavor. I'm probably gonna have to start cameraing myself here in a second. Look at this. This is what I'm dealing with right now. You got one job.
Best.
You got one job.
I'm doing my best.
You got one job. Time for the final stages here. As soon as that's sizzling hot again here, we're gonna go ahead and add all of our onions,
Oh, thank God.
garlic, and ginger. At that point, most of my work is done. I can literally take a deep breath at that point and start putting everything together and cleaning up for the most part.
Yay!
We are just about at the final stages here. I've got our main mise en place meat medley right there rolling. We are caramelizing garlic, onions, and ginger. Once this is raging hot here in a minute, we're gonna go ahead and just take that meat mixture, drop it in the pan, bring it to a red hot raging boil. Then I'm gonna drop an egg right in the middle of it, and that's it. Dinner's done. 2 days in the making, 5 and almost 6 hours of prep, and side work to get this done, like 3 to 4 different phases of this meal. I have a huge appreciation, again, for anybody who can make sisig on the fly in a restaurant. It is no joke. I think we got enough for the 2 of us for dinner. It's not, most people make this as an appetizer. I'm making it as a full-blown meal. Okay, so last steps to making sisig. My onions and ginger and garlic is browned off. My pan is raring and red hot. So what we're gonna do is separate it off the pan into the main mix real quick. Put the pan right back on, get it raring and red hot. What I'm gonna do is add some reduced pork fat right there at the bottom, even though it doesn't need much, but just to make sure, okay? That's gonna get red hot for a minute, as you can see my burner there. Mix this all up one more time. Here it comes. Woo! That, my friends, is pork sisig. Okay. Make sure we spread it all out. Let it get raging hot. You'll start seeing the bubbling and the crispiness happening on the outsides there. Okay, as you can see that rim starting to bubble and braise there. Everything's starting to lightly brown off. That's what we're looking for. We're gonna let the one side completely brown off a little bit. And then I'm gonna go ahead and flip it. And then I'm gonna make a ring in the middle. And then we're gonna drop an egg in there. And we should be good to go here. That's what we're looking for. I will say probably one of the only real issues that I've had when we order sisig in some areas is that skillet that they put it on, in my opinion, is never hot enough. That's the only thing I think I would discuss in this topic. We need to crank up the heat, y'all. Remember that, okay? So, see that browning there? Because remember, everything was already cooked at one point here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop this down one notch to the outer ring so that the inside is off. And what that'll do is that'll allow all the fat to start rendering down and pooling in the middle, which is exactly what we're looking for. Because then here I'm gonna add the last key ingredient to this, which is an egg. Okay. Boom. Just like that. Literally, just like that. This is what it should look like if it was in a cast iron skillet rocking out to you or on a hot searing skillet. Right there. Pork sisig. You're gonna go ahead with your fork when it comes to the table. You're gonna break your yolk and start spreading it out just a little bit. Let it cook off just like that. The heat is off, burner is off. That's it, folks. Pork sisig. Time to make myself a quick little plate. And we'll get a little money shot sample taste of this, and then it's time for dinner for me and the queen. Pork sisig, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead, I got 2 rice balls right here on the plate. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this crispy, bubbling deliciousness right there. Just like that. And grab a few extra peppers, just like that. Calamansi. Bam. Ladies and gentlemen, pork sisig in the Philippines. From yours truly. Let's go ahead and grab it up here and we're gonna go for a taste. Money shot time. Alrighty, a little bit of rice, a little bit of the meat. It's red hot, but I can't wait. Oh, I nailed it. That is so good. It's right where it needs to be for Alyssa to be able to enjoy it without a lot of the spiciness to it. So I'm gonna add some more chilies and some more soy to mine here in a minute, and we'll go from there. But for Alyssa, this is perfect. All right, and last but not least, the half-naked crybaby of the evening here. It's time for your money shot there, babe.
Ooh, yeah. What's my favorite dish?
Sisig.
So I'm a very happy girl right now.
She doesn't look happy. She looks like I've been beating her.
That is so good. Oh my gosh. I don't even want rice.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Alright, you guys, that about wraps it up for us here. Alyssa's going to eat my whole plate while I'm sitting here talking to you guys. If you like this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, click all notifications. If you want to be able to chat with us personally, head over to our business Facebook page. Please support us on our Facebook page. Please. And if you guys want, the membership channel is open. You guys can become premium members now on our channel, both on Patreon and on YouTube, which gives you behind the scenes access and all that kind of stuff. And if you like this episode, I'm going to drop a few more right here above Alyssa's head and right in her face. These are awesome episodes where I try really hard to cook Filipino food. If you like this, check out these episodes as well. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Cheers, legends. Peace.